Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. This is your weekly rundown. First story coming at you out of Arkansas. 4 teenage boys are walking in neighborhoods selling discount cards, trying to raise money for their football program at their school. This led to a woman being charged with 4 counts of child endangerment, 4 counts of aggravated assault, and 4 counts of false imprisonment. Why? Because the children were black and she was white. She even called police saying that this was a white neighborhood and these boys were black when she was called to report suspicious activity and suspicious people. Now, you may know these discount cards that these football players were selling. They sell them locally in a lot of places. I know a lot of the smaller towns do it because they don't have a lot of money for their football programs. But I know here in Nacogdoches they do it. They're little cards that help you get discounts and stuff at different stores throughout your city. While at the same time, you get support. You give support to your local community. But instead of just declining to buy their little cards, she decided to hold 4 10th grade boys at gunpoint and call the police. She already called the police, as I mentioned, claiming they were suspicious. But as they approached her house, she meets them outside and produces a handgun and tells them to get on the effing ground. Mind you, these are 10th graders. So here's a woman making criminals out of 10th grade football players that are just trying to raise money for their school. She says they were goofing off and screwing around. Other neighbors say they saw the kids, and yeah, they were kind of running around and goofing around, but they weren't doing anything out of the ordinary for kids. So she comes out there, puts them at gunpoint, demands they get on the ground, and the kids are still on the ground when the police arrive. One of the officers happened to be a school resource officer, so the situation was diffused pretty quickly because he recognized the students and knew exactly what they were doing. But unfortunately, that's how it went down. Unfortunately, these 4 children were treated like criminals simply for the color of their skin and simply for the fact that they're trying to support their football team. They were supporting their school. They were doing what kids are supposed to do. They weren't getting in trouble. They weren't creating mischief. They weren't out there stealing shit. It's a lot better than I can say for a lot of the kids I've come across here in town, where I live. So these kids should be commended for going out and actually just doing something to actually better their school and not just themselves. Now, I don't know about any of their histories. All I know is what happened right here. And I find it absolutely disgusting. But this woman, Jerry Kelly, 46 of Arkansas, is scum. I don't care if she was a retired law enforcement officer of some sort. I don't care if her husband's a law enforcement officer or works in law enforcement, like she said. I don't care. I don't give 2 flying flips. You deserve every one of those charges, from the child endangerment to the false imprisonment and the aggravated assault. You're scum of the earth, man. Now, as for the school, Wayne County School Superintendent Carl Easley said in a statement that his district will review the fundraising policy and will consider banning any door-to-door sales. We are very concerned for our kids. Here's the thing to Wayne County schools. You don't need to change the way you do fundraising. Door-to-door fundraising is not the problem. The problem is the people in your city, in your area. And I am sorry that they are like that. And I'm sorry that you may actually have to take away a possible funding, pathway for your school. All because one idiot with a gun decided that they would hold your students at gunpoint. It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely repulsive and should never happen in America. It should never happen, period. But it sure as hell should not happen here in America. A little Trump-related news here in your second story. This involves Anthony Scaramucci and the possibility of Trump stepping down in March of 2020. Anthony Scaramucci, of course known to many as the Mooch, was on TV recently. He's come out recently against Donald Trump, saying he doesn't believe he should be the president anymore, doesn't believe he should be winning the nomination for the Republican Party, nor should he be running, period, in the general election for 2020. But Scaramucci has said now that he believes Trump is going to step down by March of 2020, and that the GOP should primary Donald Trump. He believes by March of 2020 it'll become clear to Donald Trump that Donald Trump will not be able to win and he will lose. Well, I hate to say it, but Scaramucci, you're wrong. It's not going to happen. Why? Because even if Donald Trump was clearly going to lose, he wouldn't quit. Why? Because he thinks he's God. He thinks there's nothing that could possibly be wrong with anything he does. So he's not going to think he's going to lose. Even if everything shows he's losing, he's not going to believe it. And why should he? Look at all the polling and what everybody said, from Fox News to MSNBC to everybody else in the world, even Nate Silver over at 538. They all said that Donald Trump had no chance. And he won. So why would Scaramucci be correct here, thinking that Donald Trump is going to step down? Just because he thinks he might lose. He's not. He's power hungry. No matter what you think about Donald Trump or what you think about Scaramucci, we all know one thing. Donald Trump loves the power. He's not going to easily give that up. If you ask me, this is just Scaramucci trying to convince Democrats not to show up to the polls. But to my fellow Democrats out there, show up and vote. Because Donald Trump's not going away on his own. You have to vote him out. That means we have to show up in record numbers. Anyhow, on to the next story. Lastly, Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland. Have you heard about this story? Apparently, Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland because of possible vast resources. From uranium to diamonds to, all sorts of, metals and stuff that we need. So he's got a good reason behind it. But he seems to forget that it's inhabited by 60,000 people. And they are controlled by the Danish. It's not like they're just going to sell themselves to the United States of America. And the people over in Denmark aren't going to do it either. And the people of Greenland have made it very clear that they are open for business, but they are not willing to be sold. The 60,000 people of Greenland have said no to Donald Trump's idea. Now, Donald Trump himself hasn't come out and said he wants to buy it, but this is what he's been telling his inner circle for weeks and months, according to a New York Times article. Why can't we just buy Greenland? Now, for centuries, really, all the, rare earthly metals and things like that, and uranium and things like that have been off limits. Because there's been such a thick ice sheet, blocking the ability to mine these things. But with global warming and the quickly melting glaciers and melting ice pack over Greenland, these areas are going to start becoming open for mining. So it makes perfect sense that Donald Trump would want to do this, and I have no ill will towards him thinking it was a good idea. I understand where he's coming from, and I get it. You see, diamonds, you see, rare metals, oil, things like that we could use here in America. So I understand why he'd want to buy it, but he's also not understanding, if that was his philosophy, he's not understanding that people live there. People are not for sale. Now, if they were willing to become United States citizens or whatever, sure. But come on. You didn't even want to help the people of Puerto Rico, Mr. Trump. What happened if a natural disaster hit Greenland? You're going to say it's too hard to get ships up there because it's cold? But like I said, in the end, I have no idea why he thinks this is a good idea when it comes to the people of Greenland. But I understand the financial reasons. I understand the potential windfall of brokering a deal like that. One, brokering a deal like that, especially before the 2020 election, would probably net him some really good, publicity. But he doesn't really have anything big that he has done in the last 4 years. Or will be 4 years by the time by the time the election next year. As of this point in his first 4 years, he hasn't done anything big except a tax cut that only helped a few people. So he's looking for something. He's looking for that big, grandiose deal. And that's what this is, I believe. Anyhow, thank you for watching the Weekly Rundown. This has been The Big Ranch Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck, and I'll see you down the road.